Dwarves need no armor.
What's up, everybody? My name's Esports Money, ZSM, Mac10, whatever you want to call me, and welcome to my analysis of patch 7.06c. No fancy background music, nothing like that today. It's going to be me talking, going through patch analysis. However, I do want to put this in a temporal context. So, that's interesting. We're up to 12.5 million uniques, so our uniques on a monthly basis are still going up, which is actually, I thought we kind of flatlined, but that's actually a slight improvement, probably with summer moving in. So today is the 29th of May, and this is the release date of 7.06c. And just to put that into a little context, 7.06b, which I would call a significant balance update, I've put out a handful of guides in that patch, came out on the 21st. That's only 8 days prior to this patch and the day in which I'm making this video. Moving back even farther back, 7.06 was May 15th. So 2 weeks ago today was the release of 7.06. We have had 2 additional patches to this big balance patch in the last 2 weeks. So yeah, we're getting patches kind of left and right, and they seem to be tweaks on the overall theme of the original patch, because I think that whatever theme that they're trying to set up with this patch is going to be what we're moving forward to into TI, which is it's a theme that you will see in my analysis today. So, blade mail damage return is no longer increased by spell amplification. This is a very, very, very good change, because blade mail is, there's a lot of people that say, well, is it worth getting it this time, whatever. Blade mail is one of the best items in the game right now, because blade mail now does damage before reductions. It means, like, if you have Axe and use Call, you get the bonus 40 armor. The damage that you do to Axe is after reductions, because you're hitting him when he has that 40 armor bonus, plus he has his base armor, so he's pushing 50 armor. But the right-click damage that you receive is before reductions, and it's the same type. It's physical, so you have to take the damage. It calculates how much damage is done to you based on your armor type. So if you have less armor than Axe, which you almost certainly will if he's using Call on you, and he pops Blade Mail, you'll be hitting yourself for harder than you're hitting him. This is why Blade Mail is so good. It doesn't make sense for this to be affected by spell amplification, because it's supposed to be a pure reflection of the damage that you deal, and because most of the damage that is returned when a Blade Mail is activated is physical, it doesn't really make sense for spell damage amplification to be dealing more physical damage. Though that being said, if the person who uses the blade mail has a veil on them, or has had a veil used on them, so they take more spell damage, and then you do cast a spell on them, that bonus damage, I believe, is passed back to you. I'm almost positive that's passed back to you, because the damage that you take is before reductions, but they say nothing about amplification. So I'm going to assume that this damage return no longer increased by spell amplification means that if you're affected by a veil, you don't take additional damage from blade mail, but if someone else is affected by a veil and you cast a spell on them and they pop a blade mail during that whole process, the damage that you take would be amplified in the same way the damage they take is. Moving on from blade mail, because we've spent a lot of time on that. Solar Crest evasion reduced from 25 to 20%. Chance for True Strike mechanic is now renamed to Accuracy. It's probably a good idea, so we have another mechanic and we can put a freaking name on it. And Accuracy increased from 25 to 35. Okay, so this kind of goes along with the idea. So, like, a long time ago, Medallion was used on heroes like Lycan and stuff as just like a general, let's kill Roche faster, let's get minus armor on people. The theme of the item for a very long time has been, this is an item you get on a support, at least Medallion, not Solar Crest. This is an item that you get on supports to make them tankier, to give them a little more mana regen, and to let them cast a minus armor ability on someone during a fight while the support is way far away from danger and your carry is dealing the extra damage. Dazzle is sort of the ideal Medallion carrier via this description. And when Solar Crest came out, Strength heroes, Strength cores, really fell in love with the item, because Strength heroes like to play around with armor, because Strength heroes already have a lot of health. Strength heroes also like to play around with attack speed, because strength heroes don't buy agility items. Anyway, there's like a theme of items, like the type of item that makes a strength hero good. And because strength heroes don't like agility because they just want attack speed because they don't get any bonus from agility other than the raw attack speed and the armor, they don't get the damage. They don't typically get items like Butterfly that give you evasion. There's also, I mean, there's Halberd that gives you evasion, but that's really kind of a support item, and Solar Crest felt pretty good to put on strength cores. So when you see this reduced evasion, they're kind of trying to make this item more of an offensive item used by supports and less of an item that looks like a really good idea on a carry. Because this item has, I really think that for the past couple of years, it's been a support item, or at least Medallion was. And then when Solar Crest came out, people went, ah, that's an item that makes a lot of sense on a strength hero, and evasion is really, really strong on strength heroes. I have been buying this item on Lycan to jungle Ancients for a long time now, and I still might consider buying Medallion or something to kill Ancients with. I'm not sure. I haven't played with 7.06c. I haven't played a single game in it. I woke up, saw this, and I'm making you guys a video. But I believe this is the final, this is where I draw the line. This is probably where I will stop buying Solar Crest on strength carries, at least in most situations. I will probably not be buying this on Lycan anymore. So Ancient Apparition, Cold Feet stun duration, rescaled. It's a slight buff because you have slightly increased Cold Feet stun at all levels, except it's the same at the max level. So it just makes the skill much more of a value point situation, especially at level 1, because the stun at level 1 was 1.25 and now it's 2 seconds, so it's a pretty solid increase. Bloodseeker base damage increased by 4. I think it's a good change. Bloodseeker is a hero that you don't really see in the professional scene, like, ever, so I don't really have a problem with this. Clink's got universal buffs, all mathematical buffs, no real reworks. Skeleton Walk movement speed increased by 4 at level 1, and then all the way at the highest level only 1%, but still a slight Skeleton Walk movement speed increase at all levels. I think the level 1 is the big one, and I think a lot of people, myself included, like to get a single point in Skeleton Walk because it's a pretty good value point. And this makes that value point significantly better, so that's cool. Death Pact health gain increased at all levels. Most notably at the highest level, you have a 10% increase. You have 90% health instead of 80. And then Death Pact damage has been increased at levels 2 and 3 from 6.5% to 7 and 8% to 9%. So mirroring the health gain. Something that I sort of went along with the original 7.06 patch notes, I looked at that and I thought maybe Clink's is going to be good now. It looked like they were trying to make Clink's a good hero, and though it was a rework, it felt kind of like a buff to me on a mechanical level, just because that way you don't have to spend mana all the time to constantly keep up your buff. So I think this is, again, going along with the idea that they want Clink's to be a big player coming up this TI. Crystal Maiden base movements to be reduced by 5. I don't know why this needed to be a thing. I'm a little bit annoyed at this change. It's not a big change, but like she already has like some of the lowest base movement speed in the game, so I'm not excited about this. Doom Infernal Blade stun duration increased from 0.4 to 0.6. That doesn't seem like much, but that is technically 50%. And I feel like Doom is a hero that Doom is kind of like Lycan in the sense that Doom is a hero that they have to be very careful the way that they buff him, because he has so many good things going for him that once people realize he's acceptable in this patch or certain things aren't holding him back, he will just flood the meta. Everyone will love Doom again because Doom is so good at just picking a hero and going, you no longer matter in every single fight for the rest of the game, and you're not going to pick me off because I'm a strength hero that builds armor items, so I'm very, very, very tanky. So I think they're trying to bring Doom. Doom's always a hero kind of like Darkseer or Lycan, where they always want him to kind of be in the meta, but you have to be really careful with that because one buff that's just a little bit too much and Doom's everywhere again. Even if he's not winning everything, he's still everywhere again because he offers so much, especially in metas that are really reliant on hard carries. Ember Spirit, level 10 spell amplification reduced from 10% to 8%, and his attack damage talent increased from plus 25 to plus 30. This is a change that I absolutely love. It's not a really big change. It's 2% less spell amp and 5 more bonus damage. But what they're trying to do is make spell amplification look like a worse thing on him, and right-click Ember looked better. So historically, Ember Spirit has been a hero, and I mean really historically, he was a hero that you buy a Battle Fury. Hell, sometimes people will buy a second Battle Fury, and then you get a couple of dayless, and then you just you use, I think it's your W. It's the big AOE ability where you just hit everyone once in a circle. And then you just use that, and you can just wipe out the whole enemy team in one move if you get good RNG. Like, that's basically the way that he used to be played. Oh yeah, and don't forget your Boots of Travel, which you still build on him anyway. But that's basically the way that Ember's been played, or was played when he first came out. And I didn't really like it because, I mean, I think it's really cool and I like it, but the problem is, if you don't do well in the early game, then you won't get enough farm to get that first Battle Fury, which means you won't have enough regen to keep spamming abilities to help you farm, and you won't have Cleave to help you farm, so you just won't get more farm, and then you'll just be a dead weight. And a lot of Ember Spirits lately have been trying to snowball into the mid-game, and then use that to buy Veil, and just be a magic damage baller. And the level 10 spell amplification, I think, helped with this significantly and pushed this forward. And I think the people at Valve are going, let's try to make that right-click build look better again. And I'm really excited about that. I would rather see that back. I don't play Ember a lot, but I see him a lot because he's an extremely, I always see the hero. I always see him in pro matches. There's never really been a time where I've been surprised to see an Ember. Like, there have been times where he hasn't been very good, but there's never been a time where I've turned on a professional match and been like, what is this Ember Spirit doing here? And so I think this is really cool. Also, no webcam today because, again, I just woke up. Gyrocopter, flat cannon radius increased from 1,000 to 1,250, and homing missile stun duration has been increased at all levels slightly, with the higher levels getting more of an increase. The highest level being 2.8 to 3.0 now. So, small mechanical nerfs, or mechanical buffs to Gyrocopter. The flat cannon radius, that's actually a big deal, because the way radiuses work, that is a big difference. You're going to feel that when you're playing against a Gyrocopter that's a farmed carry. There are going to be a lot of those moments where you look at that and you get hit by a chunk of flat cannon and take a massive amount of damage from a single click, and you go, how the hell did that happen? This is how that happened. It's going to feel like he is hitting so far now. I kind of like it, because I kind of it's funny because I kind of feel the opposite way about Gyro that I do Ember. Like, I think that Ember having a lot of Battle Furies and just running around the map, right-clicking things down is really cool. But I think that Gyrocopter is more interesting as a hero that relies on magic damage and abilities, even though people tend to build him with that flat cannon and then just build lots. I don't know what that was. Build lots and lots of right-click damage. So we'll see. I don't have a strong opinion on this either way, but I think it doesn't seem like very much, but I think that's going to bring Gyrocopter into the forefront. I think that's going to make things like PL, heroes that are weak against Gyrocopter are now exponentially weaker against Gyrocopter, because most of the heroes that are weak against Gyrocopter are weak against him because of his right-click potential later in the game, and that's going to be a big deal. Hold on, Gyrocopter Dota 2. Just to make sure that I'm talking about the right ability. Okay, yeah, flat cannon. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, no. Okay. Everything I just said, I stick by. Okay, cool. Yeah. Any hero that's weak against Gyrocopter now is going to be even weaker. IO overcharge health and mana drain from 4.5% to 6%. I think the Arcana has made people want to play IO a lot more, Wisp a lot more, and I mean, I hate to blame something in the meta on a cosmetic change, but I think people have just been playing a little bit more lately, and people are starting to realize the hero is really, really, really good. Like, Io's a hero that's always been really, really, really good, but you have to be really, really, really good at playing him, and in professional players' hands, he's always terrifying because of the fact that he can move you across the map, and he can give significant bonuses to heroes that need that movement speed bonus to be able to catch you and hurt you in the early game. People like Ursa and Juggernaut, and basically any core, really. Tiny especially, he's probably the biggest example. But I don't think this will affect him at all, and the reason that they're nerfing him this way is they want to nerf him without making him irrelevant. So they nerf the thing he's already bad at. You don't pick him for overcharge usually. Usually you're picking him for the repositioning ability and the movement speed. So I like that nerf. Doesn't really affect him being picked. Lich, sacrifice cooldown reduced. This is something that they always have to be careful with because Lich's sacrifice is like probably his best ability outside of his ulti. His ulti's good, but I think the thing that really makes Lich good is the sacrifice. Like if you had an 18-second sacrifice at level 1, you would be taking so much experience out of the lane by simply existing. So it doesn't affect you at level 1, but at level 2 it's 2 seconds less, at level 3 it's 4 seconds less, and at level 4 you have 18-second cooldown on sacrifice instead of 24. And I think the reason that they made it scale more is because that way you can always rely on sacrifice to have mana for spells in the mid-game and the late game, without you just taking control of the lane because of the fact that you're denying all the enemy experience. So that's cool. I think that's cool. I'm always happy with Lich buffs. I like Lich. Even though I don't really play him, he's one of my favorite supports. Lone Druid, Spirit Bear, base attack time improved from 1.75, 1.65, 1.55, 1.45 to 1 second less than everything I said. So basically at level 1, the Spirit Bear has a BAT of 1.65, and at level 4, he has a BAT of 1.35. I believe that means Lone Druid's base attack time, the bear, just his pet bear, has the best base attack time of any unit in Dota. I'm pretty sure that means, because the wiki says that Juggernaut has one of 1.4, so unless this is, because I thought Jug had 1.35, which he might still, it might just be a rounding error on the wiki, but regardless, the Spirit Bear base attack time is now tied for the best base attack time in the game. Also, because of the way base attack time scales with attack speed, this makes getting a Hand of Midas on Lone Druid and putting it on the bear to try to get more procs for Entangle that much better. Like, that's significantly better. This change, like, I really don't like when when Valve or IceFrog or whoever changes base attack time, because it's such a huge deal. It really changes more than you think it will. It's a lot. I think this is a buff that will make him a staple at TI and a staple in pro matches until he gets some. This change is too big. He will be nerfed whether they just revert this change or just nerf him some other way. I think this change is too much. I love the hero and I really like the change, but I think it will lead to him being too good. Mirana Elite movement speed. Slight buff, so basically trying to bring Mirana back into the game without making her arrow really, really good again, because like it used to be that Mirana's the minimum damage she could do with the arrow was way, way higher. So if you weren't able to time the arrows, what you could do is just have like a Shadow Shaman grab someone, walk up, and then point blank arrow them, and you would at least had like 100 damage and like a certain amount of stun. So you didn't really care. You didn't try to set up the crazy arrows. You just jump and grab them. So they were afraid of buffing the arrow again for that reason, even though it's technically a spear. But yeah, so it's a way to try to buff the hero without making the hero like crazy good for the reasons that the hero was crazy good once for. Basically, so at level 1 you have the level 2 movement speed bonus, and at level 4 you have 20% instead of 16, and it's like it moves it up. You basically have 4% at all levels. So Monkey King, this is probably the most interesting change of the patch, because Monkey King is a hero that he's been nerfed a lot lately, and he's still picked. He doesn't win. I don't think his win rate's very high, but he's still picked a shitload in professional games. Pros love this hero for reasons that are beyond me, and make no mistake, this is a significant buff to Monkey King. So Tree Dance cooldown reduced from 1.4 to 1.2. His base HP regen from 0.75 to 1.5, so double his base regen. Plus with this patch, remember, Strength heroes got more everyone has more regen because of the changes to Strength. And his level 10 talent has been changed from +5 armor to +10% evasion. I think the evasion is significantly better. I know it scales better because if you're an agility hero, you're probably gonna have armor anyway. Let's look up the other talent at level 10, see how much of a big deal this is. So at level 10, his 10% evasion or 20 attack speed. I feel like a lot of people will still go for 20 attack speed. If that were 15% evasion instead of 10 though, I think you get that every time. And then Primal Spring, what am I looking for? Tree Dance. So this is the one that lets you jump from tree to tree, right? Yeah. Okay, so the thing that's been making Monkey King really good lately, like seen a lot in pro games, is not making him into like some sort of pub right-click stomp. What he does is people just send him to jump along the treetops of the enemy jungle and just scout people out, maybe get a pick by himself, harass by himself, but just it's very, very hard for the enemy to keep track of you, and you can keep track of them very, very easily because you kind of have like semi-flying vision. And reducing this cooldown is huge. Like, these are, like, kind of nice, but I think reducing this cooldown is, like... Pros have not been playing the hero as a carry, I don't think, since the hero came out, really. They've been playing him as this sort of roamer, and I think this even solidifies his role as that roamer even further. Especially, like, regen, evasion, these are defensive buffs to him, in addition to giving him a shorter cooldown on things that make him an ability that makes him hard to keep track of. So I think this is just trying to enhance his survivability while he's doing that sort of jungle hunt you thing. Necrophos, Ghost Shroud AoE increase. That's significant, but Necrophos and Necrolite, I think he's a hero that, like, the situations where you pick him are sort of set in stone, or close to set in stone, and I don't think that really affects anything. Nyx, Impale cooldown increased by 1 second. It's not a big deal. I don't know why they did that. I really don't. It seems like kind of a pointless nerf to me, but whatever. Oracle, False Promise duration increase, so slight buff to Oracle's ulti, 1 second at all levels. Pugna, Life Drain Break Range increased again, level 20 talent from 0.05 Nether Ward damage to 0.75, so that's a pretty significant buff. I think Pugna's just always a hero that kind of sucks. Like, there are people out there that if you think Pugna's a good hero, you think he's always been a good hero. If you think Pugna sucks, you think Pugna's always sucked. Like, Pugna's kind of a boring hero. The only thing that's interesting about Pugna is how little you see him. So, I don't know, man. Pugna will... I don't think this will bring him back, but I think it's good to buff... It's almost kind of scary to buff him, because I feel like he's going to continually get buffed until, like, one day, like, maybe it'll be at TI, like, a pro just picks him and goes, oh, shit, he's actually awesome, and then just we see Pugna every game. I really doubt that'll happen because of the way the hero works. He's a farm-dependent hero that is also an ability-dependent hero, which makes for really, really awkward stuff. But I still think that this may make us see him at TI. Okay, now this next change goes hand-in-hand with my analysis of 7.06. So Shadow Demon is... Every single thing about this current patch is designed to make Shadow Demon good. And I'm not talking about 706C or B, I'm talking about 7.06, the big one. The changes to creeps. They only give 80% experience and gold, but they spawn every minute now. So they're really, really easy to stack, and they're really, really easy to clear stacks. Shadow Demon's Shadow Poison is really, really, really good at killing stacks. It feels like they were trying to bring him back into the game. Let's go back to 7.06. Did they buff him directly? Shadow Demon, yeah, they removed his respawn talent, but gave him a shorter cooldown Shadow Poison, which, remember, that ability already has like a 3-second cooldown. They reduced the mana cost on it, and Soul Catcher now spreads its damage amp evenly among all enemies in the AoE. So I guess that's kind of okay. It's really good if you want to kill stacks. So, like, let's say I'm level 5 and I stack a shitload of Shadow Poison. Right before it goes off, I'll throw Soul Catcher over the AoE, and now instead of, like, randomly doing extra damage to one person, I just cleared the camp super fast. Like, this whole setup is designed to make him better at clearing camps and make him a better farmer. And with this patch, level 10 talent, instead of choosing between 6 strength and 10 MS, you're choosing between 20 MS and 10 strength. And instead of 6% spell amp at level 15, it's 8. Level 20, 10% magic resist became 15. And his Shadow Poison cast point has been improved from 0.3 seconds to 0.25. Every single change to the hero this patch has been a mathematical buff. None of these are game-breaking, but together they might make this hero picked a significant amount of time. And it's kind of scary because there are a lot of people out there and a lot of teams out there that really, really like this hero. This isn't like a Pugna where you have, like, Loda likes to play him carry once a year where, like, he's almost not seen. There are a lot of people out there that really like Shadow Demon. Like, I'm worried when I see this and I see the overarching theme and structure of 7.06. If this is our TI patch, Shadow Demon will probably be first pick, first ban material for at least a significant chunk of it. In fact, if we get another patch before TI, and every single time, like, we're not getting another patch before TI, we probably will because we keep getting them so regularly now, I expect that we will see Shadow Demon get nerfed unless people still don't pick him. And the only reason that will happen is if the pro games being played every week for the next few weeks don't involve teams that like him. because there are teams out there that would have ran him way before these buffs and would have loved him way before these buffs. So yeah. Also the 7.06 change where the soul catcher now spreads its amplification evenly. It just means like if you want to target a single one, you just like move the circle over that one and as few other units as possible, or ideally just move it over one. It's whatever. So Skywrath Mage also got universal buffs. Skywrath Mage is... So I talked about how a lot of people out there just think Shadow Demon's always been good. I think he's always been okay. I'm not a big Shadow Demon player. I'm one of those people that thinks Skywrath has always been pretty good. And giving him universal buffs is scary, because having Skywrath in every game... Guess who's really, really good to combo with Skywrath? Shadow Demon's pretty good. Demonic Purge means you are slowed, and Skywrath Mage loves it when you can't really move, because his ultimate is that short, small AoE, massive nuke. So, yeah, kind of spooky stuff. Treant Protector movement speed reduced by 10. Leave my hero, not my hero, but I like him. Just leave that dude alone. I like Treant Protector, but too many people like him. That's why he's getting nerfed. I don't think he's winning everything. He's just too many people like him. Troll Warlord Battle Trance cooldown increased by 5 seconds. Troll isn't super overpowered right now, but Troll has been a hero that was a cancer that you saw in every single game, and a really good hero in every single game for a very long time. There were a couple patches back as like the 6.7s, in the 6.7s, and I think the early 6.8s, he was really, 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 really scary, and I think they don't want that to happen again. So they're kind of scared, especially because under certain conditions, he can synergize with Mask of Madness very well, and that item is very good this patch. Underlord, Firestorm max health damage has been increased. I think, so like Underlord was released at TI last year, and Monkey King was announced at TI last year, and Monkey King was probably the most hype they've ever tried to make the community for a hero, because normally when we get a hero, the hero is announced, we see his skills, we see some video footage of him, and then within 48 hours we're all playing him. This isn't the case with Monkey King, obviously, because we got that cool cutscene trailer, and then it was like 3 or 4 months before he was actually in the game. And I think that's one of the reasons that they're buffing him up again, because they actually want to see him at TI, because otherwise, why were we so hyped for him last year if he's not viable? If the hero's just bad, then why were we excited about him? Why were we excited about something that's bad? Why they built all this hype, and I feel like they feel part of delivering on that is making Monkey King and Underlord at least somewhat relevant. Monkey King more so than Underlord, but I think they want to see Underlord there. I also feel like Underlord's one of the heroes that's kind of like Shadow Demon and Skywrath, very team dependent. I think that there are teams that like to run him, Alliance, and I think there are teams that just don't. So we'll see. Venomancer, Poison Sting DPS increased. At all levels except 1, it's the same. At level 3, it's 6 more DPS. Venomancer's agility gain from 2.6 to 2.8. So his agility gain is not really... That's 2 agility every 10 levels, y'all. That's nothing. It's not bad, but it's like... I don't even know over the course of a game if that adds up to a single point of bonus armor. So, like, yeah, it's nothing. But Poison Sting DPS, adding 6 points to that at 30, I would actually be comfortable with them leaving it at all levels and then doubling the DPS of Poison Sting at the max level so that it's relevant later in the game. That also means, like, just leave it at 8, 6, 12, 18, and then instead of 24, make it like 50. Just something ridiculous. I know that's not a popular opinion, but I think it would be... I think that would be cool to see his level 4 Poison Sting drastically better than the rest, or maybe he actually has this... maybe he has a talent that gives him more. I don't know. I actually don't play a lot of Venomancer anymore. 14% Poison Sting slow. I think it would be cool to see him get a talent at like level 15 or level 20 that made it so it doubled the level. It doubled the Poison Sting damage per second, or maybe give it some bonus slow or something at only level 4, so that you had incentive to, that way you would have to invest a huge number of skill points into that passive to make it good, because otherwise the hero will just be way too good. So I'd really like to see that. I think it would be really cool to see his highest level Poison Sting damage do way more than the rest, because it's very constraining, especially if you leave the 6, 12, 18 the same, because it forces you down a very narrow path, because you have to put 4 points in there. That means you're not getting wards. That means you're not getting Gale. That means you are extremely restricted if you do that, or you wait until the late game to have it, and it's way more relevant in the late game. Because right now it's not relevant at all once you get late into the game. Like, it's kind of relevant because if you mix it with your ultimate, the poison sting damage can actually kill you, versus your ultimate's non-lethal, so you can't kill people from the damage over time from your ulti. But that's basically the only real purpose of it in the late game, which is kind of a shitty purpose. Like, honestly, it's pretty bad. It's an excellent skill in the mid game and the early game now, but once you get to the later portion of the mid game and the late game, the skill sucks, which I think is sad. I think it would be cool if they could make it not overpowered, but a way for it to somehow, within reason, move into the late game. Viper, level 15 talent from 10 strength to 15. Okay, so Viper is a hero that is kind of tanky by design and by nature, but he doesn't really use strength as much because he's an agility hero, so he doesn't get damage from it. This isn't a game-breaking buff to the hero, but it's a noticeable buff. And again, I'm gonna go back to 7.06. Did Viper get touched here? Yeah, he got Viper Strike now deals its first tick of damage immediately. I think it's to prevent people from blinking. And Viper Strike cooldown reduced at all levels except for 3, so that's a buff. So I think I think people are trying to get Viper back into the game. I think he's always been pretty good in pubs, but I think he goes through periods where he's okay in the pro scene or just bad in the pro scene. I think they're trying to get him back to okay in the pro scene. I don't think you could buff him like a significant amount more, and I still don't think you're going to see him every game in the pro scene, but he's a very good pub stomp hero, so I think that's why they're cautious about buffing him, because otherwise you'll just see him destroying pubs like he's Necrolite or something. Warlock, Chaotic Offering mana cost increased at levels 2 and 3, so 25 at 2 and 50 at 3, so not that big of a deal. And the cooldown has increased from 165 seconds to 170. These are slight nerfs. I don't think these nerfs needed to happen, but there's a lot of rapid changes going on right now because Valve is trying to shake up the meta and make the game as balanced as possible and as fun as possible, and most importantly, as interesting as possible to spectators, because we'll have 1 million or 5 million, whatever, eyeballs on us, a $20 million pot. All of that shit's going to be happening in the next 3 months. Actually, is it 3? It's like August 12th. Yeah, next 3 months, we're going to be going through... It's Dota season, guys. It's time to get excited. This is, over the next few months, is Dota all the time. But they want to make... There's a certain presentation that they want to have to the game, and they want to have things shaken up a lot. So they're going to nerf heroes, and they're going to nerf heroes that don't need a nerf, and they're going to buff heroes that don't need a buff to try to force the metagame in a certain direction to treat heroes more equally. And I think these slight nerfs to Warlock is what that's about, because I feel like I've seen a lot of Warlock lately. Winter Wyvern, Arctic Burn, flight duration increased from 6 to 8 seconds. That's pretty freaking big. I think that's huge, actually. Winter Wyvern. I want to see what he looks like. Arctic Burn. Buff duration is 8. Yeah, I think that's a pretty solid buff because... I feel like the hero... I feel like this is also a hero that is getting a buff that does not need a buff, because the hero... I think Winter Wyvern is just generally an awesome hero. I do not play the hero, but I've played the hero enough and played with and against that hero enough to go, that hero is sick. I don't think that hero needed a buff, and I think that's a big buff. I think we're going to see a lot of the hero now. Zeus, movement speed increased by 5. Zeus, he got buffed in this most recent... Yeah, I think that's kind of a buff. I mean, they had to remove the respawn talent, so maybe that's a nerf, but whatever. So, where is 7.06b? Yeah, he didn't get a... In 7.06b, Monkey King got a buff. So, yeah. So, again, going along with the theme, I think we're going to be... I think there's certain heroes that Valve really wants to be at TI, and they're not going to grab the meta by the neck and be like, we want you to play these heroes, but they're going to gently tweak things to try to make people... I think Valve's attitude is, we really want people to give these a chance so that we can show them at TI, and if people give them a chance and find out they don't work, then maybe Valve will do further tweaking, but I think most of these changes are to make people experiment with heroes that haven't been experimented with a lot lately, or to stop playing heroes that Valve is tired of seeing and are basically going, these heroes aren't as good as you think they are. I don't think... Most of these changes aren't massive. A lot of them make sense. The Solar Crest is kind of big. The Clinks are significant, I think. The Shadow Demon is pretty freaking big. The Monkey King's pretty freaking big. Yeah, I'd say like half of these changes are huge. One thing I will say, and this is sort of my concluding remarks on the patch, I feel like there's at least as many buffs going out this patch as there are nerfs. I feel like it's pretty close. I feel like there's actually a little bit more buffing going on than nerfing, and that is always a good thing because it gives people something to be excited about when they play the game. So thank you guys so much for watching. I want to throw the outro on now. Have a wonderful day, and let me know if you agree or disagree in the comments, and new hero guide probably tomorrow. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Esports Money's ESM Mac10, whatever you want to call me, and thank you for watching that video. If you liked that content, don't forget to hit the like button. If you want to see more content from me, hit the subscribe button. There's actually a little bell icon next to the subscribe button, and if you hit that button, then whenever you have YouTube open and I go online or post a video or really do anything, you'll get a little update from me. If you want to support the channel further, there are Amazon affiliate links in the video description below for pretty much every single piece of hardware in my computer. Additionally, there's also an Amazon referral link for Amazon Prime, so whenever you use that to get an Amazon Prime membership, you support the channel at no additional cost to you. So thank you very much, guys, and have a wonderful day.